In this episode of the AnimeCons.com podcast, Doug documents his escape from New York Anime Festival, Elizabeth sits down with the multi-talented Samantha Inoue-Harte, Shiva and Elizabeth complain about elevators at a con, plus news and upcoming conventions. I'm Sketch, and this is the AnimeCons.com podcast for October 2009. This episode is sponsored by DreamHost. In the Northeast, Bakuretsucon is pleased to announce that voice actresses Jamie Marchi and Leah Clark will be attending this year's convention as guest of honor. They also announced that fan-favorite guest Scott Melsner, director of This Is Otakudom, in addition to fellow non-DE fan films, members Mike Wall and Mark McKenzie will also be attending. Reed Exhibitions has announced that New York Comic Con and New York Anime Festival will take place at the same time and place in 2010. One ticket will admit attendees in both events. The convention will be October 8th through the 10th, 2010 at Jacob Javits Center of New York City. The Rochester Institute of Technology Anime Club in Rochester, New York has announced the dates for ToraCon 2010 as April 24th and 25th. They have also announced pre-registration prices and first round of guests Christopher Sabat and Monica Rial. ZenkaiCon has announced that they will be sponsoring 2 anime screening rooms at Video Games Expo, screening anime music videos and running trivia contests at the October 11th Video Games Live concert, and assisting with the costume contest at KMX. In the South, IkiCon in Austin, Texas has announced the first guests for the 2010 convention: Greg Ayers, Vic Mignogna, Meredith Placco, Outland Armor, and Schwartz Zane. The convention will take place January 1st through 3rd, 2010. Several industry notables have autographed numerous anime collectibles, including posters, DVDs, and postcards, to be sold in an online auction to raise money for a Minnesota family who recently faced an unexpected, tragic situation. On July 21st, 2009, 7-year-old Ian Hoy was walking home from swimming lessons with his older brother, 13-year-old Patrick. They were at a crosswalk when Ian, believing it was safe to cross, was struck by a car, causing massive internal wounds and traumatic brain injury. Thankfully, Ian is now on the road to recovery. However, the situation has caused an incredible financial hardship on the family. The Hoys, longtime friends of Tiffany Grant, are good, hardworking people who just need a little help in a difficult time. We hope this fundraiser can help get them through this rough patch and onto a brighter future. Please note that 100% of proceeds will go directly to the established fund to benefit Ian Hoy. No actors or companies are keeping any of the profits. To see Ian's whole story and get updates, read more here at their website. Anime Charity Auctions is pleased to announce the opening of the Anime Charity Auctions MySpace page. Anime Charity Auctions is a group of individuals and companies involved in the anime and video game industry that have volunteered their time and support to help anime and science fiction conventions with their charity auctions by providing autographed items, rare and unique items, guest auctioneers, and logistical support to make each convention's charity auction a success. The items are donated by industry professionals and companies who recognize the importance of giving back to the community. Convention organizers and charity auction staff can visit their MySpace page now and request items. Industry professionals may also contact the organizations through the website to donate items. For more information about these conventions and other conventions around the world, visit AnimeCons.com. Hi, I'd like to introduce you to Doug, our newest leech at getting press badges for conventions. So I understand that you went to New York Anime Fest, so was this your first time going to New York Anime Fest?
Actually, no. I went 2 years ago in 2007. I got to see the convention then, and it's an interesting contrast to see how the convention has grown, or in a lot of senses, how it hasn't. It's sort of stayed the same in the 2 years that it's been going.
How was the location for this year's Anime Fest?
New York Anime Fest is at the Javits Center in New York City, and one of the best things about being in New York is it's a very central location. There's many ways to get there. I personally took the Bolt bus from Boston to New York City, and round trip only cost me $25. And unlike some of the other buses that, you know, go Chinatown to Chinatown, I'm not clinging on for dear life as the bus goes barreling down the highway. but the Javits itself, around it in mid there, it has kind of the worst of both worlds. Directly or nearby, there is nothing in terms of a close proximity hotel or very many places to go eat. There's a nearby McDonald's that's either swarmed or it's, you know, not everybody wants to eat fast food for 3 days. And there's a limited amount. There's a limited amount in the Javits, but of course you're paying convention center prices. Some of the other problems are that there's a bit of a walk from mass transit. I mean, they tried to fix that with, you know, supporting buses that went between area hotels and everything. To get any sort of decent food, you'd have to travel back closer to the Madison Square Garden area, and many of the restaurants in that area are very expensive. And I know many people, such as myself, try and watch their money as best they can when going to convention.
I've seen you make a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Yep.
Any good pros to the location?
New York is a great tourist city. There are plenty of things to do. So if you do want to escape the convention, maybe stay a day prior, you know, stay a day earlier, stay a day late, you can go out and see it. If you look down some of the streets, you can see the Chrysler Building, the Empire State Building. So there are things to do outside of the convention in the nearby area.
Okay. Well, as I understand it, you're a big fan of mecha anime. And what did you think of the Gundam creator Yoshiyuki Tomino's appearance?
This was a big shock. When I went 2 years ago, I joked that I would never go back to New York Anime Fest unless they vastly improved or got someone such as Yoshiyuki Tomino. 2 years later, they make me eat my words. Tomino was a very engaging guest. He had a keynote presentation as well as a question and answer session. Both times he very much engaged the attendees, and I have to give the attendees a lot of credit here. During the question and answer sessions in both events, they really looked for smart questions, not just the typical, in episode 12, why did they do this thing with the Gundam or something like that, but rather, you know, got into the nitty-gritty and asked for specific details. And one of the two things that Tomino really emphasized were people working hard if they want to try and make it in the industry, and the other thing he really emphasized was using art as something to make it accessible for everybody. And he cited that Gundam has been successful because it is something that many people can get into, not just a small niche audience.
Well, yeah, it's because it not only involves the robots, it involves the people piloting the robots and their backstory.
Exactly.
So it's very dynamic that way. Any specific sort of problems you saw?
A lot of the problems that came up with New York Anime Fest is it's not sure what convention it wants to be. Reed Exhibitions, who runs the convention, also runs New York Comic Con, which is a fantastic event and uses a great deal more space at the Javits Center than New York Anime Fest. However, when you're having sort of half a dealer's room for an anime convention, it's not the same. Some of the rooms are there's only about 4 panel rooms and 2 screening rooms, and they were only created with air walls. So many times loud explosions on a screen, or the stage that was in the hall had loud music, it would carry over into those rooms, just kind of disrupting the feel of it, and it made it very difficult for some speakers to be heard or just focused on. And beyond that, there's a lot more space in the Javits to use than New York Anime Fest had. So the hallway, Saturday, which was the peak day, I mean, it was, you look at how many people were there Saturday and how many people were there Friday and Sunday, it was night and day. But Saturday, because they only had that small section, there was a lot of hallway traffic and very difficult to move, partially because, once again, there wasn't a whole lot of programming going on, so people had nowhere to go. And so they tried to, you know, filter back into the dealer's room, but still, not everyone wants to keep going looking at things that they want to consider buying.
If they also have seen at other conventions
exactly.
too, and you know, it always comes to a lull where, you know, it's the same stuff you've seen before. Any final thoughts overall on the convention?
Overall, I would say that it's clear that New York Anime Fest is kind of the second year event for Reed exhibits, and
their Comic-Con.
Comic-Con is the primary focus, and anime conventions and comic book conventions, while they do share many things, they are two different animals.
Mm-hmm.
The comic convention is much more of an expo. You know, you're going to see everything that people are presenting. They, you know, see the new products, see what everyone's unveiling. Whereas an anime convention is a much more social event. It's the fans getting together to talk about the genres they like, the new series, and everything like that. And the convention itself really was kind of torn on which it was trying to aim at, and I think kind of failed at both, unfortunately.
Sorry to say. Well, thank you very much for your report, and that's it. This is Doug reporting on the New York Anime Fest.
Here with Samantha Inoue-Harte at PortCon, Maine. She's a voice actress, founded animation studio Psycho Studios.
Yes.
One question for you. What was the first convention you attended as a guest?
It was a small convention called ItzaCon, and it was, I think it was during Thanksgiving weekend, so there was, thankfully Mike McFarland from Funimation was there to protect me and show me the ropes of how to survive a convention, but yeah, it was a small branch of ACON. It was in the middle of nowhere.
Did you ever attend conventions before that as a regular attendee?
I attended ACON, I attended Gen Con, I went to Comic-Con, I also went to Comic-Con in Japan, but that was when I was younger. I actually lived in Japan for a long time, so there were always some sort of conventions going on in Japan, so I used to go to those.
How did it feel to be asked to be a guest at your first convention you went to as a guest?
I was actually kind of shocked, because when I got asked, like, it was over the phone, and I was like, really? You guys want me? No, seriously, really? and even now, like, just even for this convention, when I got asked through Facebook, I was like, really? You want me to come out? Sure.
What type of questions do you like to be asked by the attendees?
I get asked a lot, like, how do you get into voice acting? And I always get asked, like, what's your favorite role? I actually really like to have questions that have a little bit more thought placed into them. Something more along the lines of, like, you know, what do you think of the current, you know, issues within anime? And it's like, you know, like, what do you know, it's like, oh gosh. Just more thoughtful questions, really. Things that take a little while to answer, rather than just a yes or no. Not like, what's your favorite pudding flavor? Which, for some odd reason, I get to ask that a lot. And it's butterscotch, by the way.
What's the furthest you've traveled to a convention, either as a guest or attendee?
I went to a convention up in Buffalo, New York, and also in Canada. I'd say that this convention is pretty far from me too. I don't really get to go up north very often. I would like to, but yeah, I'd say the northern conventions tend to be the furthest ones for me. I'm in the middle of Texas.
Is there a convention you would like to go to but haven't yet?
I would like to eventually go to all of them, really. I mean, yeah, I can take the cop out and be like, I'd like to go to Comic-Con. Well, I've been to Comic-Con, but not as a guest. But I would probably end up just going just as a fan, no matter what. So if I get enough money, I'll probably go con hopping.
What's your favorite thing about attending anime conventions?
I like getting the feedback on the work that I've done. That's probably the best thing, because when you're doing voice acting or you're doing regular acting, live action acting, you're normally only catering to the director and the engineer, and so you're in a little box about the size of a telephone booth, and you're acting out the part. And then until it comes out on DVD, you don't hear anything positive or negative except for what the director says. And so when I go to a convention and somebody says, "Oh my God, I loved you as this character from this role, and you did 4 years ago," that really makes me kind of go like, "I did a good job. Oh my God!" Because up until then, I didn't. But that I like the hugs. I don't like the glomps so much, especially if the person is over like 5'7", because I'm pretty short and I can't handle carrying people too much. But if I get a hug from a fan, that's something that I really like.
Thank you very much for joining us. At this time, we'd like to thank our sponsor, DreamHost. DreamHost is currently offering new subscribers unlimited bandwidth, unlimited disk space, plus 50 gigabytes for backups, unlimited email accounts, one-click installs for things like forum software, a shopping cart, a wiki, and photo galleries, free lifetime domain registration, free Red Sox tickets, free Patriots tickets. Oh wait, no, that's not right. Anyway, all for as low as $5.95 per month. Enter the code CONS2 when you sign up, and you get free access to all of Funimation's library. No, that's not true either. You get your first month free. Some restrictions apply. See the site for details. Learn more at dreamhost.com. So this is a new segment for the podcast called Condescending Commentary, where we talk about things at conventions that we don't like or bother us.
This month we're talking about how elevators suck. A lot.
Yes.
Elevators.
Yeah. You know how Sunday everyone has to check out at 11 or 12? Good luck getting an elevator at 11 or 12 on a Sunday. Awful. The trick is, head down early. You drop your stuff off at the concierge or front desk or back in your car. Beat the traffic there. Of course, it helps if the elevators are actually running on Sunday. You ever been to a convention where the elevators have stopped running?
It's hell.
It's hell.
Total hell.
So, you can do your part to make sure the elevators are still working on Sunday by one simple thing. Don't overload them. Seriously.
Yeah. And another thing, don't be those people that sit in the elevator during the con and think it's fun to press every button and ride the elevator.
Or have a party.
Because when you're waiting for 40 minutes for that elevator and it opens up and the doors reveal a whole bunch of teenagers sitting there laughing, it's not funny.
Mm-mm.
In fact, I might murder you with a fork next time.
Oh man.
Beware.
Also, we always say that showering is really important because nothing is worse than getting on an elevator with someone who has not showered for a few days. Or decides to cover it up with a ridiculous amount of perfume or Axe.
It doesn't help the headache situation.
No.
The other thing that is a good idea, in case the elevators aren't working or you don't want to wait and you don't have too much stuff, is to locate the stairwells. Mm-hmm. Do it early. Usually if you go on Thursday or Friday and figure out where the stairwells are and how you can get up and down from the hotel lobby or to the convention center without actually having to use an elevator, it's worthwhile. You know, you'll burn some calories, you'll get some exercise, and you'll probably make it to the ground floor before your friends do that are waiting for the elevator.
Yeah. And going down is a lot easier. Going down 7 flights of stairs, I mean, unless you're in ridiculous costume with ridiculous heels or something, going down 7 flights of stairs in a pair of sneakers is nothing. Going up 4 or 5 flights of steps, that's not too bad. I mean, if you're in costume, that's a whole different story. Especially if you have really big wings or a big prop or ridiculous shoes, then, you know.
But here's the other annoying thing. Some people like to puke in the stairwell. Because that's a cool place to drink on the weekend is the stairwells. So when you're down there with your big wings or your big prop, because you're trying to avoid the elevators because that's a whole cluster show, okay? You go down the stairs and then trail puke. Trail.
Yeah.
dripping.
Remember, you're not the only one using the elevator.
Or the
Several
stairs.
hundred or 1,000 people are going to need to use those elevators this weekend.
And here's the thing, if elevators are really that much of a novelty to you that you feel the need to abuse them, you know, we have malls or department stores or other places you can go where they provide elevators completely free of charge without annoying the crap out of everybody else in the hotel. It's fine. We'll find you an elevator. Just don't use ours. Please.
So, don't overstuff the elevators. We like them working on Sundays.
Don't press all the buttons.
Yeah.
And don't puke in the stand.
If you're a convention staff, look towards, especially if your elevators break down every year, look towards possibly having someone's, like, monitor the elevators and make sure no more than a certain amount of people go in them. Aresia in Cambridge does this. They only have 3 elevators that used to break down all the time, and they haven't broken down the last couple of years because they monitor those things and make sure they don't break. Keep that in mind, conventions.
Are we recording?
Make it move. Iceman's hungry.
Greg Ayers, Vic Mignana. Mignana. Mignano. Mignana. Mignana. Okay. Give him a wedgie, Jess. Greg Ayers, Vic Mignana. Mignana. Greg Ayers, Vic Mignana. Meredith Blacko. Mignana, Mignana. It's my new patent.
Unlimited bandwidth.
She can't even look at disk space without saying disk space. I'm sorry, I wrecked this forever.
That's what Taylor Swift should have done. Right hook, right the kind.
Little laugh.
Well, I don't see a light. Is there supposed to be a light?
There's a light. Okay?
There's a light on his side.
I don't see it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm loud and obnoxious. Thanks for agreeing.